Everybody, welcome. This is the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley. We are excited to bring you stories from wonderful speakers around the world telling us about things that we really love to hear about, especially as Rotarians. We love to hear about service. The motto of Rotary International is service above self. Our club, the Rotary E-Club of Silicon Valley, has special interests in education, entrepreneurship, and innovation. And so our goal is always to have people come and see our programs and leave a little more inspired about ways they can be people who make a difference in their own communities. So this week we have with us Geoff of Seattle, Greater Seattle, Washington, and he is the Chief Development Officer. There it is, for the Millionaire Club, a title he'll explain as he gets into it. He's spent his entire career in the nonprofit sector, doing all kinds of good work for the YMCA of Seattle. And he is also a Rotarian. He's a member of Seattle, the fourth club in our 33,000 club organization. So it is a pleasure, Geoff, to have you with us today, and I am looking forward to hearing all about the work you and your team do with the Millionaire Club. It's yours.
Thanks very much, Rustin. Appreciate the invitation to join this really unique Rotary Club. Like Rustin said, I'm part of Seattle 4, which means that I have lunch every Wednesday with 400 of my closest friends in various hotels throughout Seattle, Washington. I was fortunate enough to do this very presentation to a Rotary Club in South Lake Union, where one of our volunteers for the Millionaire Club, who knows Rustin very well, basically volunteered my presentation to this really unique setting. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks very much. A little bit about the Millionaire Club. In terms of being innovative, we do feel that we have a unique approach to having an impact, a significant impact on the homelessness issue. Many of you may know that Seattle ranks right up there. We're number 3 in the country in terms of having the largest homeless population. In the last count, King County ranked about 12,300 individuals who were unsheltered on their one-night count. And that's very significant. The Millionaire Club's model has been to provide a hand up, not a handout. And that's a direct quote from our founder, Martin Johansson. Martin came to Seattle from the East Coast in 1921, and he landed in our Pioneer Square neighborhood, and he noticed right off the bat that there was a large population of individuals who were homeless and or what he would call needy, primarily because they were home from the First World War and they needed assistance. Martin was hoping to make it big in real estate, and that didn't work out for him. And he decided that his life's work would be to help those less fortunate. He brought together his friends, his colleagues, his peers in an effort to provide, firstly, low-cost or free meals to the less fortunate in Pioneer Square. That's the club. His group of friends, his group of colleagues. He decided that when you're helping somebody less fortunate than you should feel like a millionaire. That's the name Millionaire. He took the E off the end, so to avoid the confusion with any organization that was helping individuals to amass great wealth. As you can imagine, in this day and age, the confusion still exists. And I'll tell you a little bit about where we're headed in the future around our brand and the name Millionaire Club. But that's the story of who we are. Martin decided after a while that he would provide a couple meals, and then he would expect his clients, his individuals, to start to lend a hand in the area. So he would say 2 meals, and then you start to get a job. That evolved over decades into basically an organization that provided temporary or day labor for individuals, primarily homeless, needing a means to earn a paycheck. Where we are today is we are an organization that has a sophisticated temporary employment agency that has 1,100 employees working for about 950 employers in the greater Seattle area. What I want to do tonight is share some stories, some success stories, because the success stories about our people are way more compelling than some statistics. There we go. I've been with the organization for a little over a year now, and in my attempt to understand the mission and the impact that we're having, I spend a lot of time meeting our clients. We often call them workers because they're employed by us. They're our workers. They're also our clients because they receive wraparound services. Our goal is to remove as many barriers as possible for our workers so they are job ready. As you can imagine, folks who are homeless or experiencing poverty and they're unemployed need some additional services. So I met Lamar very, very early in my tenure with the Millionaire Club. Lamar is about 25 years old, and we were interviewing him and learning more about his story because he was one of our success stories. I asked him some very pointed questions about his story, and he shared what he could without feeling like he was sharing too much. But what I can tell you about Lamar is not atypical for our clients. Lamar, as a young man, found himself homeless because there was a break with his family. And Lamar, for a shelter, was literally living in unlocked U-Haul trucks on a U-Haul lot. He would go around and he'd find either the back of the truck or the cab of the truck that was unlocked, and he would crawl in at night and he would make sure that he was out before the U-Haul office, the rental office, opened up. And I asked Lamar what that was like, and he said, well, that was 18 months of being very uncomfortable, carrying my stuff around. He would talk about waking up in the morning and his legs being numb because it was so cold. And then I asked him, well, what do you do until that time that you go find your truck? And he says, well, often I will just ride the public transit around the area until I get kicked off the bus and I have to go find a place. The word of mouth around the Millionaire Club is very, very strong. And somebody eventually told Lamar about the Millionaire Club. And he walked in the door and he found that this was a place where he could store his belongings in a locker, get meals so he wasn't hungry. And when he was comfortable with our setting, he eventually applied to work on our workforce. And through temporary employment and having a successful employment history, we were able to place him in a full-time job with an organization that provides ambassadors in our downtown core. It's called the Metropolitan Improvement District, and they focus on keeping the streets clean and providing some services for tourists, etc. So Lamar went from being homeless and living in the back of a U-Haul truck to finding a place where he could store his belongings safely and take temporary work. He found a place in our building where he could take a shower and do his laundry and feel safe. And furthermore, he felt that he was having a struggle with his vision. So he was able to access our free vision clinic. We operate the only free vision clinic in the state of Washington. And he got a pair of glasses so he could see better. And he said to me, well, I thought glasses would just make me look cool. Come to find out, I had astigmatism. And he literally does this with me. He says, and I put my glasses on like so, and I saw things that I never saw before. And he's kind of a reserved character, but he just lit up when he talked about all the successes he had. We also provide short-term housing in a small 49-room single occupancy unit very close to our building in the neighborhood we're at. Because Lamar got full-time work we were able to provide him with housing for 2 years. And through that, he will develop a housing history. So when it's time for him to seek housing on his own, he'll have a really strong reference. He is definitely one of our success stories. And I was so honored that he shared with me so openly, the new guy, what his stories were. This gentleman, Wayne, is another one of our stories. We just recognized Wayne at our fall event as one of our employees of the year. And he's very honest about his struggle with addiction. He fell on hard times. He had a family. He had a wife and children, and he became an addict. And that led him to a complete break with his family and living on the streets. He eventually found treatment. He got clean. And he came to the Millionaire Club. And because he was working temporarily, and he talks about taking on some pretty tough jobs so he could prove himself, we eventually found a place for him working for a Xerox copy machine company as a technician. That became a full-time job for him. And recently he told us that he was promoted. At our event in the fall, his family was in attendance, and his daughter came up to me and said, usually it's my dad who is very proud of me. And tonight I'm very proud of my dad for all his accomplishments and getting through all his struggles. And ironically enough, he comes to service our copy machine in our office. So we love it when we actually have a problem, so Wayne can come in and check in with us again. It's a great story. This gentleman represents the other side of the equation. This is our employer of the year from last fall. This gentleman is Vlade, and what's so unique about him and so special about him is he came to the US from Russia, landed in Seattle, didn't have a job, didn't have any place to go, and 20 years ago, he found the Millionaire Club. And he was able to access food, shelter, all the other services that we provide, temporary employment, and eventually he was able to find full-time work with the International Parking Company. They manage parking lots in the Seattle area. When Vlade got the contract to manage the parking lot at Husky Stadium, the University of Washington, he needed employees. He first went to the Millionaire Club, to our temporary employment agency, because he believed that this had to come full circle. And he hired our workers through the fall to provide parking services at the University of Washington. He is now one of our prospects for our board, and he has discussed being able to expand his relationship with us and adding contracts as his company grows. Very, very successful, and we're thrilled that when he thought of filling a need for his company, he went right back to where he started. And that's not unlike many of our workers who find themselves in Seattle for the first time, whether it's from another country or from another state, and the Millionaire Club becomes their safe haven. Many stories about individuals who are working with us at the Millionaire Club, and because we have a large fishing fleet, they end up on a fishing vessel or a crabbing vessel headed to Alaska. But they were able to get grounded by starting first at the Millionaire Club. This is the part of the story that keeps us in business. We recognize that about half of the individuals who are considered homeless or unsheltered in King County in the Seattle area are struggling with issues that make them ineligible for employment. We're very, very clear that our population and our part of the solution focuses on those who are able-bodied and committed to achieving goals and bettering their situation. This young lady was with us for about 6.5 months, and we did an interview with her, and we got some photos, and we're talking to her, and she was working with us pretty consistently. Sadly enough, she was a recovering meth addict, and that demon came back into her life in a big way. And literally the last time I saw her was she was in our building, and she was trying to get our attention because she believed that there were children on the roof of our building that were about to leap off. And we had to have our security remove her from the building because she was basically tripping out. She was having a very bad trip. And we haven't seen her since. And that is, that's sadly a very large part of the issue when we talk about homeless individuals and unsheltered individuals, is that the addiction and the mental health issues take up a lot of the bandwidth. Therefore, the Millionaire Club, the organization that is providing a really positive solution, doesn't get as much of the play or the press time or the focus for those who are pulling themselves out of their situations through temporary employment and getting full-time employment and eventually getting some housing. So that is the flip side of our organization and the issue, homelessness, which affects every large city in the country. Here's our numbers, and we like to talk about the numbers a little bit. We like to talk about our people more. But again, when we talk about our temporary employment agency, we're employing a little over 1,000 workers on our payroll, and they're earning $2.5 million, which means that they're paying taxes back into the system. Our goal is to help individuals attain full-time work. And as you can imagine, our business model, when an individual moves from temporary employment to a full-time job, it doesn't generate any revenue for us. Our temporary employment agency as a social venture is a $4 million business operation, and it covers its costs and provides a little bit of extra cost to cover things like payroll and our social worker. When we place somebody in a full-time job, we lose that resource. However, our mission, our goal as an organization is to move individuals from unemployment to temporary employment to full-time employment as fast as we possibly can. We talked about our eye clinic, about 550 eye exams and eyeglasses provided for free. We have a nice volunteer contingent who primarily is helping us serve meals in our dining hall. We served almost 100,000 meals last year. It's a big investment on our part. We enrolled close to 600 new workers, and that is part of the overhead that doesn't get covered by the social venture, the temporary employment agency. So that's our investment in individuals. We do a very extensive orientation for our workers. We do safety orientation, we do background checks. It takes a whole week to get somebody enrolled in our program. We also have a program for individuals who are most likely to get full-time work. We call this program Step 2.0. It's a possibility for them to really take stock in themselves, and it's a confidence builder. And of our graduation rate, 50% of our STEP graduates find full-time work almost immediately, which is really important to us. And that takes a lot of our resources. And then my department, the development people, we raised close to $2 million to meet the mission. It takes a lot to keep it going. We're excited about 2020. There are a lot of new things that are happening. If anybody is following the XFL, we have the Seattle Dragons, and our largest employer contract are the stadiums. When the Seahawks are playing, we have job orders in the range of 185 to 200 workers, which means a lot for our workers who can go work a stadium job for 7 or 8 hours and get a paycheck. And sadly enough, 70% of them will be unsheltered that night. So we try to tell the story to folks who attend one of our soccer games or a football game that when you're getting that beer, getting that hot dog, not only are you quenching your thirst, you're helping an individual earn a paycheck for that day. The new XFL has been a boost for us in 2020. We learned that we just went from ordering 15 individuals for Saturday's home opener to 100 individuals because they have been selling tickets like nobody's business. That's good. We have this new partnership with King County, where the county has contracted with us to provide some street cleaning in unincorporated King County. The county highlighted this in December as a new relationship. They've invested close to $200,000 in making this happen, and we hope to see that expand. That means full-time work for 6 of our workers who tell us, 3 of them, that because of that job, they've gone from being homeless to finding permanent supportive housing. We're working on developing more skill building opportunities. We have a relationship with what's called the Seattle Jobs Initiative, and they're able to provide technical skill training where we don't provide technical skill training. And we believe that when an individual develops these new skills, they have a better shot at actually earning a living wage, which is our ultimate goal. We just graduated about 25 individuals from road flagging, those folks who turn the sign from slow to stop. And those jobs are in high demand. Our temporary employment agency has been able to find jobs for those workers who are newly certified. We're expanding those certifications into the medical field, into welding, pipe fitting, some more technical roles, which is really great. We've transitioned our meals program from being an in-house meals program, which was frankly a drain on our resources, to partnering with another organization, Operation Sack Lunch. Operation Sack Lunch has been in business for about 30 years, and they feed folks in all of King County. They use a satellite kitchen model, and they feed in 11 different areas. As a result, we're going from providing 100,000 meals a year to providing over 1 million meals this year. And that's really exciting for us. That makes good use of our dining hall and a kitchen where we had some unused capacity in the past. And of course, the Mariners winning, well, that would be new. We would love to have the Mariners win and fill the stadium so we can continue to provide workers at what used to be Safeco Field, now T-Mobile. What we're most excited about in the future is this rebranding, or what we're calling the brand evolution. We will be moving in the spring from being known as the Millionaire Club Charity to Uplift Northwest. And this poster is just a sample of our new brand identity. What we found from working with Slalom Consulting and doing some pretty extensive research is not only is our brand confusing for a new generation of stakeholders, it's off-putting. The most common misperception around the Millionaire Club was folks thought that we were an organization that supported air travel through air miles, individuals who have amassed 1 million air miles, million air, no E. Crazy, we never even thought of that. We are excited as staff to move into this new, clean, updated, new brand for the next 100 years. We believe that our success in the future will be rooted in staying relevant and being able to attract new stakeholders who, frankly, don't understand the Millionaire Club Charity name. We're lucky, of course, that we have a legacy because we've been around for almost 100 years, and we've got a nice group of current stakeholders, and we'll bring those folks along into the new brand. And we'll be launching this new brand over the course of 18 months with some updating around our messaging. However, what's most important for everybody to understand and remember is we're the same organization. The mission will stay the same. We will continue to provide the same services. We will be open to everybody in our community. We'll just have a new look and a new name. What we didn't understand going into the rebranding process, but we learned through interviews with our clients, is that our clients are thrilled about a new name because the majority of our workers and our clients didn't like the name charity. They didn't want to be associated with an organization that had charity in their name. So they're thrilled that they can be associated with an organization that is uplifting. They like the name. They did not like feeling that they were getting charity, but they were actually being part of a temporary staffing agency. So we believe that we've made the right decision and we're moving in the right decision for all of our stakeholders, all of our volunteers, and all of our workers. I'm happy to entertain any questions. And thank you, Rushton, for your editing in advance.
A pleasure to have you, Geoff. Thank you very much. I know I've got a question. We've got several, I think, as well from the gallery. So let's go to Carl first on that. Carl, you're up.
Yes, Geoff, I could probably talk to you for days because I spent maybe weeks and years because I spent most of my career as a financial officer for temporary staffing companies and also as an owner franchisee with staffing companies. So I understand much of that business. The first question that comes to me is maintaining a relationship with your hiring client, because you always have two clients in the industry. The hiring clients, do you have much problem with what we call no-shows, where you maybe don't have the most dependable workforce in the world? How do you handle that?
That's a great question, and I appreciate that one. We feel that our employees, our employers, what you call our hiring clients, they are mostly mission friendly. They've come to us mostly because of the mission of the organization. Now, we're also priced very competitively, and that helps. So most of our employees understand that, you know, who they're hiring. Our structure, we learned a little bit of through the hard way, is we wanted to make sure we were providing the best customer service to our hiring clients. So we changed our model from having our dispatchers being generalists to actually being account representatives. So we have 7 account representatives who are carrying a portfolio of employers. So they are maintaining those very critical relationships. Again, some of them very large and important, like a stadium, and some of them a little bit smaller, like local restaurateurs. And then there's folks who are dealing with the homeowners who are calling us and saying, I need a shrub moved, or I need a room painted. So it's through that relationship building that we maintain our success. Now, if we have a no-show, we often have a room full of workers ready to be dispatched, and we can deal with that in a pretty immediate fashion.
Excellent. Just one other, it's not a question, it's a comment. You mentioned losing your asset when they go get hired permanently.
Right.
Have you tried charging temp to perm fees?
It is a discussion, and there's this wonderful tension in our organization around what's the mission and how are we helping people, and what's the business model, what's most important. We've gone through a strategic clarity and theory of change exercise this last 9 months, and that discussion right there, it's a beautiful one, and it's still formulating. So it's not off the table, it just hasn't gotten a whole lot of daylight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, great questions.
Very cool. Let's pass over to Farheen.
Hi, and I wanted to introduce my cat. This is Naru.
Another cat.
So, hi. So I had a quick question. Sorry, I came a little bit late. But my question is, could you? You probably said this in the beginning when I wasn't in the recording, but where exactly are you based? Where is this program based?
Yeah, we're in Seattle, Washington.
Great.
And
And do you have any like plans to kind of expand it? Because I could really see like we need something like this in the Bay Area.
so that's a great question. We do get calls from literally around the country, and our board has been pretty clear that we're still going through some growing pains and some evolutions around this very sophisticated temporary agency model. We would like to be able to branch out and, hello, Kat, bring this model to other regions, and we're open to that. It's not that crazy of an idea for us to come down and consult with another agency. We're not ready to actually have the resources to invest in other communities.
That makes sense. Thank you.
But just give me a call. We'll come down and at least have a conversation.
Excellent. So Geoff, you've got a history with Rotary as well. How has Rotary clubs in your area been helpful to the mission of Uplift Northwest?
Make it rain. My Rotary Club in particular has been very generous. We have 2 vans that have been donated from Rotary, and we have several of our smaller clubs who very generously support the mission with just cash contributions. I've made several presentations to Rotaries in the area. As you can imagine, there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner opportunities.
Makes sense. I can imagine that any number of employers who might be sitting in Rotary meetings might also find it interesting to hear more about your efforts.
Absolutely. For example, 4 or 5 months ago, I sat next to the vice president of a refuse garbage company, and we were talking, and he always needs people. And I said, well, let's have a conversation. And so we're in conversation about whether we can get our temporary employees down to the recycling center to sort some recycling.
The combination of business opportunities and service has long been a part of how Rotary works, that's for sure.
That's right.
We've actually run out of time, but Geoff, stay on the line after we finish the recording. As always, members and guests, that's part of our goal, is to give our people that extra perk of getting a chance to talk to these fascinating folks doing really interesting things, even after we stop doing the recording itself. But those of you who are joining us, make sure to do 2 things for us. One is to let us know you were here. There's an attendance form just a little bit down the page. Fill that out, and if you put your email address in properly, you'll get an email that you can pass along to your club secretary to make up a miss from your own club. If you are working to keep 100% attendance, which we certainly hope you are. Additionally, there's the forum we have at the bottom, the discuss forum, and that is a place where you can read the comments of our members and guests. You can reply to them as well. This is a chance for us to share ideas, a part of our goal to hopefully have yet more good things come from people giving their time to tell their stories and inspire others to do great things as well. As we always do, we'd like to hand it over to our speaker for the finish. So Geoff, I hand it back to you.
Appreciate that. I really appreciate the opportunity to share a model that we believe has been successful. We believe that there are opportunities to have positive impacts in people's lives, and always want people to remember that regardless of where you are in your life, somebody probably is envious of every part of what you've got going on. So appreciate what you have.
Well said. Members and guests, we'll see you next week.